morning. This is Environmental Intelligence, episode 44. It's June 11th, 2026. Let's get into the latest environmental developments across Canadian jurisdictions. No major Canadian regulatory announcements or enforcement actions appeared in today's feed. With zero qualifying provincial or federal regulatory developments, contaminated sites practitioners should shift attention to standing CCME and CSR compliance timelines. The nearest federal consultation window and provincial annual reporting obligations remain the primary near-term drivers. Monitor for any late Canada Gazette postings this week. If you only note one thing today for your compliance calendar, confirm Q2 groundwater sampling schedules against BC CSR Protocol 4 and Ontario OREG 153/04 holding times. The deadline sits 19 days out for the next CCME soil vapor guideline comment close. Phase 2 and 3 consultants and risk assessors in BC, Alberta, and Ontario remain most directly affected. Federal carbon pricing adjustment and CFIA Part 5 reporting cycles stay active this quarter. No qualifying regulatory, enforcement, or contaminated sites technical developments met inclusion criteria today. All prefetched items concerned international climate policy, U.S. state actions, or general awareness pieces without Canadian jurisdictional hooks. Practitioners should therefore treat the day as a calendar review window rather than a change management window. The CCME draft soil vapor intrusion guidance remains open for final comments. Practitioners performing vapor intrusion assessments in Western provinces should submit any method detection limit or attenuation factor concerns before the window closes. No new thresholds have been published yet. The period constitutes the final opportunity for input on the draft before closure. Western province assessments relying on current attenuation assumptions should verify whether any revisions to detection limits will affect ongoing work. Sources indicate the draft has not yet incorporated new numerical criteria. The annual adjustment under the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act takes effect on 1st July. Facilities subject to output-based pricing should verify updated benchmark calculations for 2026 compliance reports. No provincial opt-out changes were reported. The adjustment applies uniformly to facilities under the federal system. Benchmark verifications must incorporate the revised values ahead of the 2026 reporting cycle. Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued the adjustment notice without accompanying provincial equivalency shifts. No peer-reviewed or government technical reports with direct Canadian regulatory application appeared in today's feed. No qualifying project announcements, laboratory updates, or remediation contractor developments with regulatory implications were present. Now, speaking of background groundwater concentrations, here's something I wish someone had told me early in my career. You arrive at a former industrial site in southern Ontario for the first post-spring thaw sampling round. MW4 shows benzene at 18 micrograms per liter, while the same well read 4 micrograms per liter in January, yet no new release is suspected. The difference is almost entirely driven by water table fluctuation and temperature-driven biodegradation rates rather than plume migration. Under OREG 153/04 and CCME Tier 1, background wells must be sampled at the same frequency and analytical suite as compliance wells. Failure to capture this seasonal envelope often leads to unnecessary delineation or incorrect statistical trend analysis. Experienced assessors compare dissolved oxygen, redox, and temperature logs across events before attributing concentration shifts to site sources. The most common mistake is treating a single low-flow event as representative without checking whether the well screen intersects the seasonal high water table. The fix is to schedule at least one additional event during the opposite hydrologic extreme before finalizing the conceptual site model. If you're working on active Ontario and BC sites, review the current CCME soil vapor draft for any proposed changes to attenuation factors. Update internal holding time trackers to align with upcoming federal carbon pricing benchmark revisions, effective 1st July. Monitor Canada Gazette Part 1 for any CEPA 2024 amendment notices published in the next 10 days. Brief project managers on the absence of new enforcement actions so that existing compliance schedules remain the priority. Mark your calendar for 22nd June when the CCME Soil Vapor Guideline comment period closes at the federal level. Note 30th June as the BC CSR Schedule 2 annual compliance reporting deadline for sites with active certificates of compliance. The federal output-based pricing system benchmark adjustment takes effect on 1st July in all provinces without equivalent provincial systems. The Alberta EPEA contaminated-sites annual report submission window opens on 15th July for 2025 data. Tomorrow, watch for any late Canada Gazette postings that could alter the current quiet compliance window. That's environmental intelligence for today. If this briefing is useful to your practice, share it with a colleague and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back with the next briefing. Have a productive day, and before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give Modern Investing Techniques a listen. Modern Strategies for Canadian and U.S. Investors. You can explore the whole lineup at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.